Hello, thank you for watching. This is News Done Differently. It is the third day of April 2022, 10:02 p.m. Busha, B-U-C-H-A. It's a name maybe you've heard, maybe you haven't. It's a small town in Ukraine. We're going to be talking a lot about it in this episode. But before we start, I just want you to remember that this is the first Busha. Okay, there are going to be probably hundreds of incidents like we are about to talk about tonight. There are things going on all over the world, and we are going to focus on Ukraine. But we're going to begin by talking about Sri Lanka, right here, just under the coast of India, Myanmar, violence, government and anti-government violence going on in Myanmar. Sri Lanka, much the same. Sri Lanka is currently under a total social media blackout, and reports are that cell service is limited there as well. Why do we start with these? Well, there are conflicts going on all over the world, hotspots going on all over the world. Myanmar, Sri Lanka, of course, always Israel and Palestine. Pakistan today basically disbanded their parliament, their Congress, and removed the prime minister. So an unstable Pakistan between Afghanistan, between India, China, Kyrgyzstan, Russia, Iran. Things are getting more and more intense on a global scale. And a lot of this you probably won't hear about until after the fact. And Berlin, Germany. We're going to be talking about Berlin and Germany in the program. It was announced by the German Retail Association that retail prices in Germany starting tomorrow, which is actually today over there. So in a few hours, Germans are going to realize that all of their retail prices have gone up 20 to 50%. There's going to be disruption in Germany. We know what's going on in Ukraine as far as with Russia, Poland, Lithuania, Latvia, Estonia. We're going to be talking about all of these things tonight. And we're also going to be talking about Donald Trump's speech last night. We're going to be talking about QAnon, but our focus is going to be primarily on what's happening in Ukraine, because that's where all the eyes are focused right now. I said we're going to be talking about Trump. How did Trump happen? When they all start saying the same thing, it's pretty easy. There are 1,500 newspapers. There are 1,100 magazines. There are 9,000 radio stations, 1,500 TV stations, 2,400 publishers, owned by only 3 corporations. When you wonder why the media, mainstream media, especially news, doesn't, why they allow themselves to be called fake? They're not really fake. They're just heavily edited and censored to feed us what they think we need to eat. Zelensky about Russia's war crimes in Ukraine. Busha, B-U-C-H-A. Quote, concentrated evil has come to our land. Murderers, butchers, rapists, looters who call themselves an army and who only deserve to die after what they have done. Russia is not the neighbor we imagined. This comes from Finnish Prime Minister Sanna Marin. And according to the Prime Minister, Finland now wanting to expedite their membership into NATO. Was an explosion in Tel Aviv. This was about 3 hours ago, and in Tel Aviv and the surrounding areas. We have yet to hear what the cause was. Working under the assumption at the moment that it was not an attack, that it was probably an accident, but we will keep monitoring that. And of course, we'll break in, we'll come back on live with anything that happens that we're aware of. That's because there are so many areas, as I've said, we're going to mention and pointed them out to you on the map. These girls are in body bags now. This is the mayor of the city. They they raped these girls and girls and women. And then they shot them. Then they drove over them with tanks. This is in Irpin. Again, as horrible as this is, some of the things we're going to see are worse. That's why we can't look away. We've got to see what's really going on. They're in body bags. You can tell by the sizes that many of them are young girls. I'm going to take our first video of the night. President Zelensky, Ukrainian president, talking about what we're going to be seeing here shortly. Thank you for watching. I really appreciate it. This is one that is going to need to be shared. Not that I don't think all of them should be because of the content, but this one, well, he's speaking in Ukrainian. No, actually, I think he speaks in Russian in this. Go ahead and pull it all the way up so you can read the subtext, the closed captioning.
Увидела тела убитых людей в Буче, в Ирпене, в Гастуме. Что они сделали? Зачем их убили? Что сделал мужчина, который ехал по улице на велосипеде? Зачем пытали до смерти обычных мирных людей в обычном мирном городе? Зачем душили женщин после того, как вырывали у них из ушей серьги? Как можно было насиловать женщин и убивать их на глазах у детей? Издеваться над их телами даже после смерти? Зачем давили танками тела людей? Что сделал в вашей России украинский город Буча? Как это все стало возможно? Российские матери, даже если вы растили мародеров, то как они стали еще и палачами? Вы не могли не знать, что внутри у ваших детей. Вы не могли не заметить, что они лишены всего человеческого, нет души, нет сердца. Они убивали сознательно и с удовольствием. Я хочу...
Pause this just for a second. Do not think for a moment that we do not have the same kind of people here in America, okay? We'd like to think that we are so above, but we have incredibly dangerous people here in America. And We'll talk more about that.
Хочу, чтобы все руководители Российской Федерации увидели, как выполняются их приказы. Вот такие приказы, вот такое исполнение и солидарная ответственность за эти убийства, за эти пытки, за эти оторванные взрывами руки, которые лежат на улицах, за выстрелы в затылок связанным людям. Вот так теперь будет восприниматься Россия.
I know what's coming, okay? I know what's the videos coming. I'm getting sick to my stomach. But we can't turn away. We can't turn away. Okay. This is not one of those videos that is going to make you sick to your stomach. It might, it should. But again, keep in mind that we have people here in America that feel the same way about other Americans who are different from them as this Russian does about Ukrainians. When they were at one time the Soviet Union, they were at one time one government anyway, if not one people. And the idea that Russian citizens shouldn't be held accountable or shouldn't be punished for what's going on. Yeah, there are some of them that shouldn't. And they've been out protesting and they're getting punished. And now they're going to get punished again by economic sanctions or military or whatever is to come. But something will be coming after you see what we're going to show.
Как вы думаете, чем все закончится?
Надо ее снести с земли и все.
Украина?
Да.
Зачем?
А зачем она нужна?
А потом кого сносить еще?
Польшу. Просто до кучи.
Всех снести. А зачем? А что мы будем делать с этой территорией?
А это что вообще за страны такие? Украина. Это не страна. Это кусок Ленин тогда отдал в свое время. Вот. А это Прибалты, это вообще всю жизнь они были против России. Надо думать, прежде чем ты начал воевать, да, воевать надо с хохлами. Это однозначно. Тут никаких даже вопросов не может быть. Нацисты. С ними надо воевать.
А чем может закончиться вольнем хохлов? Больше никак нельзя. Вариантов больше нет.
А что будем делать с вот этой территорией разбомбленной?
Почему разбомблены? Операция идет нормально вроде как, без всяких там этих. Начнут ковровые бомбардировки, так это их уже дело. И вот эта падаль нацистская, вы теперь спрашиваете, что мы с ним будем делать? Вольнем.
Украина станет вторичным государством, которое не будет принимать ни в чем участие. А мы будем забирать эту землю себе.
Правильно считаете?
Это так и было раньше. Все возвращается к своим истокам.
Вы знаете, очень трудно сказать, потому что если все зависит, что Америка будет делать. Она пока боится выступить, очень боится, потому что у нас есть очень сильные несколько ракет, которые снесут вообще Америку, если их запустят. Они их не запускают. Они вокруг один раз провели вокруг Америки, и после этого все заглохли.
Думаю, что все закончится нормально, но дело в том, что мы же ее потом поднимать будем. Вот весь ужас в чем. Нам же эту Украину потом опять отстраивать, от промышленности им создавать.
Okay. Just wanted to give you an idea of what Russians thought of Ukrainians, and maybe you can understand why nobody's trying to stop Putin, why they are celebrating him. This is in Berlin. I mentioned in our opening that we're going to be talking about Berlin. Germany today reportedly a parade in support of Russia gathered 5,000 cars. The comment, they can't complain about the media blackout in Germany. They have access to information and see what the Russians did in Bucha. If you haven't seen yet, you haven't seen yet. I know you haven't seen yet, because what mainstream media is showing you is probably not what you're about to see. I'm going to leave this on here for a second because you can see that it is a massive number of cars and people. And again, this is in Germany. So if Germany's divided, and while 5,000 is a lot of cars and it's in Moscow, there are millions of people. That's not saying that this is a majority that's going to take over. It's just like with the Trump people and the QAnon people. They are a threat to democracy. They are a threat to safety. They're a threat to peace. And we're not sure how many of them there are, but while watching the Trump speech last night, yes, I did that so you didn't have to. There were less than 100,000 people watching at any one time. Okay. That's a lot of people still, maybe. Compared to this channel, that's a whole bunch of people. But what he said and what I'm saying is much more important. Just fewer people are seeing it. But what he was saying, he didn't call them to arms. That's what I was waiting for, because that's what the QAnon people are waiting for. And we have to remember that even though they are out there, even though they are beyond reach with logic or with compassion or with anything, it's very cult-like, very cult-like. They've been programmed, and we've been talking about it with the artificial intelligence, and with they've all been groomed now. It's like somebody gave you a sandwich, but instead of jelly, they put poop in it. And they gave it to you, and you took the first bite, and you went, "Oh my God, this is poop." They should have realized then, when everything that had been told to them didn't come to fruition at the first time. But instead, they took another bite. And the same thing was presented to them. This is what was going to happen, and now it's really going to happen. And when it doesn't, they take another bite. And the pillow guy says, "I'm coming out. I got confirmed evidence that," and he does a live show, and everything blows up because he doesn't have any evidence at all, according to the independent computer analysts that were looking at the material. We talked about that back in that episode, but they took another bite. And pretty soon they have to have that. They'd rather have that poop sandwich than, good old jelly sandwich. And that's where they're at. And they've been groomed to not associate with anybody outside of that cult, and prepared to destroy anybody and anything. If you're not with us, you're against us, is really ingrained in them. And we got more on that coming up. Actually, I'm going to give this quick news before we start getting in. The president of Pakistan, again, as I told you earlier, dissolves National Assembly. Imran Khan, no longer the prime minister. Poland, Estonia, Latvia, and Lithuania are closing their border crossings with both the Russian Federation and the Belarus region, and that will be coming up. It's anticipated to be coming up in the next 48 hours. Prime Minister of Poland has called for and been granted an emergency European Union summit to discuss the massacres perpetrated by the Russian military in Ukraine. A complete severing trade with Russia is also one of the proposals. So again, things are heating up, and when that happens, when things start heating up, dominoes start to tumble potentially, and things can spiral out of control, and we need to stay aware of that. And we need something. We need something to fill the gap of this potential Trump, QAnon, they're ready to rise up. Okay, they've been ready to rise up for years. Thankfully, their numbers are dwindling, but they're still there and they're still ready to rise up. And we should be prepared to counter that as citizens. You know, we shouldn't count on all the military being on the side of the Constitution and the government. We shouldn't count on all police being on the side of the Constitution and the government. You know what I'm saying? I've got an idea, but it's not for the news. It's going to be on an American Doofus episode. And look for that very shortly. This is one of the dead bodies. They tried to burn a swastika into her. Some of my family members are now trapped under Russian occupation. The stories they share with us are literally the most harrowing shit that tests your humanity and your sanity. Men disappearing in mass, girls mass raped. There are hundreds of Bushas happening across Ukraine every day. We're going to hear about Busha, but as I said in the beginning, it's just the first, and there are going to be hundreds. Now, before we see how they treated the people of the civilians of the region, the Kyiv Oblast, this is how Russia treats their own dead. They piled them up and left them. Now, you're gonna see stories on MSNBC and on CNN and on Fox, maybe on Fox, that show mass graves and they show them bring them out in body bags. What they're not telling you is, in many circumstances, those body bags are dead Russian soldiers. Okay, the civilians don't get put in body bags; they just get dumped in first. Okay, and then when the mass graves are discovered, they're mass graves of dead Russian soldiers, and Russia has to pay for every body bag that comes back. They have to pay the family. This is how they treat their dead. There's been a lot of, a lot of talk about the United States military and atrocities and this and that. This is how they, this guy's arm is sticking straight up in the air. Okay, he's so stiff. Rigor mortis. I couldn't think of the word for a moment. That, they rolled him over to check him to make sure he didn't have a landmine under him, and his arm stuck straight up in the air. This is how they treat their own. Okay, this is how Russia treats their own. And by the way, if you're Tucker Carlson, or if you're Donald Trump, or if you're just a regular old citizen and you support Tucker Carlson or Donald Trump, who support Putin, then you are guilty of this happening. Now, get off my channel. We're going to start with the dogs. Russia's hurt and kill everything that moves and is not a member of the Russian army. Russia has not changed since World War II. It wants to win at all costs and its own and other victims. This person is not allowed to add video with the human killing, but she shares with us what they did with They literally killed everything they moved.
Это все наше дело.
Anything and everything they moved. They rounded up all the dogs and killed them. They rounded up all the people and they killed them. They tied their hands behind their back and they killed them. And I'm not making this up. Don't look away.
З будинків Бучі. В одному приміщенні окупанти влаштували собі казарму. В сусідньому ж розстрілювали мирних мешканців. Їхні тіла і досі тут.
Вот колено, свои колена. Это Смельников. Сначала колено прострелил, видишь, что с колена.
Зв'язали руки, поставили на коліна до стіни. Постріл в голову. І все. Людини більше немає.
What you're looking at is the second of two rooms they found in the basement of this business. It was set up as Russian invaders set it up as a headquarters with two rooms. The first one was a torture chamber. In the second, civilians who were shot in the back of the head while tied up. This is from Vlad. He, I'm sorry, that's. Huh. I don't want this to stop before he finishes. Those that watch the show know that we've had Vlad on here since the start, and this is a kid that was he was a film director, an artist, and now 4 months later, or 4 months, 40 days, 40 days later.
Everyone saw pictures and videos, and I don't know what else to add. Nothing. Let's talk about people who did it. Here in Ukraine, all my life I was attacked because I'm Ukrainian speaker. Attacked by Ukrainians who speak Russian, because Ukrainian language from USSR times, it was a language of villagers. Like Russian have N word for Ukrainians, like since I remember. It was your little brothers. Like that, like Ukraine, Moldova, Georgia, they have nicknames for everyone. I have fight because I'm Ukrainian speaker in my life, just because I speak Ukrainian language. There was people who tried to fight me. And sometimes John Sweeney posting pictures from Moscow with people who are protesting to us, who was the heroes trying to save us. They doing it for us. All these years from moment when war started, he was trying to talk to them over social medias, like, hey guys, there's war happening. And they was, hey, let's don't touch politics, please. We are here, we are wise, we are an artist people. Don't touch politics. Don't touch politics. So now they're paying debts. They're not trying to save us, they're saving themselves. They're doing it for themselves, not for us. We don't need them anymore. Zero. I don't know. I don't want to know what's happening in Moscow. I don't care. I don't believe in them. It's their problems anymore. To call them heroes. Are you crazy? Are you crazy? They did it. They bring Putin. They was tolerating them. They was tolerating him. Do nothing. Nothing. Zero. Who was dying in 2014 on the streets in fighting of police. It's too late to be a hero.
he was talking to all of his artist friends, people that he had collaborated with in Moscow. The divide that is going to happen between Ukraine and Russia, because Bushka is only the first, and we haven't seen all the pictures yet. I couldn't put them all together. I mean, I could have technically, but I had to have some other content in between. The divide that's going to be created between, or is already there, and has been there, is now going to be all but irreparable for generations to come. Let's not let that happen to us here in the United States, because it very easily could. And I'm not warmongering or fearmongering or anything. I'm being realistic. And there is hope, because not all Republicans are Trumpers. This is from Chris Sununu. Quote, he's probably going to be the next president, Sununu said of Trump, musing about his, quote, expertise or experience, his passion, his sense of integrity and rationale that he brought to his tweets. And the room got really quiet, and he paused, and then, no, I'm just kidding. He's fucking crazy. And he also went on to say, quote, the press often will ask me if I think Donald Trump's crazy. And I'll say it this way. I don't think he's so crazy that you could put him in a mental institution. But I think if he were in one, he ain't getting out. Now, this guy's trying to get laughs, obviously, but it's not as big as we think it is. Okay? It's kind of like the Russian army. A lot of talk, a lot of toughness projected, and significant numbers, but nothing that should be, there should be no reason to shudder at the thought. Instead, we ought to be prepared and nip it in the bud. We ought to show so much strength that they wouldn't dare. How do we do it? I don't know. I'm working on it. Again, American Doofus episode coming up. Back to the news. Again, Trump held a rally yesterday in Washington, Michigan. And I'm not going to play anything he said, because, it's the same old, except he did say, he talked about how pretty Jen Psaki, the White House press secretary, is. Which, about what you want, not something you might expect from a former president, unless he has a history of 43 different lawsuits from women for sexual misconduct. Then it's probably expected. Okay. We're going to take a break from Busha, because I've got more.
The election, I believe, was stolen, but we know that. Space Force has it all. Trump has all the information. It's going to be overturned.
What do you think Space Force has?
Space Force is a military branch of the, just like the Army, all the military. And they literally walk up here. They literally.
Such a Karen, This is my show. Come on, walk up here.
The night of the election, they literally watched the election be stolen. They know.
Space Force watched the election be stolen.
They watermarked the ballots.
Space Force watermarked the ballots.
They know exactly what happened with every ballot.
Space Force knows exactly what happened with every ballot. Donald Trump is not the president. If Space Force knew what exactly happened to every ballot, then they know Joe Biden won, and really by a fairly significant amount.
They know what fake ballots, all right? They knew the election switches. They know what countries were involved.
If they knew all this, and see, this is what gets me. This is where eating the poop sandwich comes in. If they know all of this, why are they still allowing it to happen? Wouldn't that be the logical question that she should ask?
They know they followed the money. They know what every politician that's been paid off. They know there was 269,000 sealed indictments, but
I'm not sure what a field indictment is either.
I think it might even be up to 500,000 sealed indictments. And I believe that
Anybody ever heard of a field indictment? Is that a military thing that happens if somebody misbehaves on the battlefield, or while on assignment? I don't know.
we're going to have an emergency broadcast, and the military is going to come in with martial law. And
okay, this is another thing. The emergency broadcast. This comes up in a lot of Q videos. They say that the emergency, because if we do get attacked, if Russia does launch nukes at us, the emergency broadcast system will come on. It should anyway, and tell us, this is an actual emergency. And if you're in one of these areas, basically there's not going to be a lot you can do. But their thing is that it's all fake. As soon as you hear the emergency broadcast system, you know that the military has taken over the government, and we're going to go into that coming up. Stick around, please.
we are going to be shown 8 hours on, 8 hours off of video.
I talked about this like a year ago, and then like a year and a half before that. That they're just, after the emergency broadcast, they're eating the same stuff. They're eating that same poop sandwich. And not only that, but they're throwing it up and then eating the throw up because it's been regurgitated like 3 times. Yeah.
Videos for 7 days, the world, and they're going to be showing taped tribunals, taped confessions, and the world is going to be awakened to what's really going on with the deep state.
Okay. There you go. So the world is really going to be shown what's going on by the deep state. So let's just look at what they think is going to be going on. Let's start here.
Being implemented in those countries participating in the global currency reset. Friday, April 1st was also the beginning of the new quantum financial system using the new digital currency of blockchain while trading gold asset-backed currencies of 206 out of 209 to 214 nations at a 1-to-1 with each other. Paymasters have been paid and Tier 3 bondholders would be notified. Thursday, March 31st and over the weekend with full access to their monies next Tuesday, April the 5th. Tier 4B would be notified to set redemption exchange appointments at the higher special.
Okay, see, what they're doing is they're trying to get these people to buy these bonds, and they've got a lot of people that have bought these bonds, and they bought them for when the disaster came, they would have the only real form of currency. This is part of the poop sandwich that they've been eating.
Rates at any time from Friday, April 1st to Tuesday, April the 5th. Tier 4B would have 10 days to make their appointments in order to receive special rates.
And the sooner you bought in, the higher up in the tier you could be. Okay, it's a pyramid thing, just like the Republican Party is.
Restored Republics of the World events would start Saturday and Sunday, April 2nd and 3rd. Mark Z
bond. Okay. Those people that bought the Z bond. Have we seen Z anywhere before? I think we might have. So let's jump over to this one.
Harris would have the 25th Amendment.
Oh, let me back this up just a notch.
Could be liquid on Monday, April 4th. When CMKX was 70% done, Tier 4B would go.
See, everybody's Tier 4B. Everybody that's bought these bonds that are supposed to be, you pay a little extra, but you get the higher level. No, everybody's Tier 4B, and there isn't going to be any money coming back to them. And when all of this finally breaks down and they realize they've been conned out of years of their life, they've been conned out of their money, they've been conned out of their family and their loved ones, they're going to be pissed. Just saying.
No one would be liquid until Tier 4B was liquid. Iraq had to be done with their new rate by Wednesday, April the 6th.
Iraq?
Pelosi told Congress to stay home Thursday, March 31st.
Okay. Pelosi on March 31st, actually, I read that in the episode. Because of COVID concerns, people could continue to vote without actually being on the floor of Congress. Okay, she didn't send Congress home. The government buildings weren't closed.
All government buildings would be closed. Congress had been illegally elected to U.S. Incorporated, which was now defunct. Ripple was the only cryptocurrency that was asset-backed, and that was largely for the use of banks. Biden was getting ready to step down as U.S. president because of his son Hunter's corruption revelations.
Hunter Biden's laptop, Hunter Biden's laptop, Hunter Biden's laptop. That's all we're going to hear about. Hunter Biden's laptop and Will Smith. I don't know if you know, but Will Smith actually walked up and slapped Chris Rock. You may not have heard about it. That's sarcasm. Okay. For a week now, we've heard about Will Smith slapping Chris Rock. Okay. For a few days now, we've heard about Hunter Biden's laptop. Why aren't we talking about 15 boxes of top secret materials at Mar-a-Lago? Why aren't we talking about cocaine-fueled orgies? And who were those 60 and 70-year-old people that Madison Cawthorn was about to reveal? Let's see, who has a history of cocaine in the Republican Party? The My Pillow guy, Roger Stone, Don Jr. And this isn't an accusation. This is just wondering, why aren't we talking about those stories? Don't you think at least one network ought to be digging into, hey, what's good? And I didn't know what a key bump was. Okay. Now, hey, I grew up in the 60s, 70s, and 80s. Okay. The 80s. I never heard the term key bump. Okay. I didn't know what it was, but that's what Madison Cawthorn used to describe what happened. And I found out that, you know, that's what you put a key in the little bag of cocaine, and that's what you snorted off of. I always thought it was a mirror or some surface like that, but you know, that was what I had heard happen back in the day. Let's get back to this.
Both Joe and Hunter had joint bank accounts, and all of the corruption would come out during court proceedings. Harris would have the 25th Amendment invoked on her.
Okay, all this was supposed to have happened by April 1st, okay? Just to be clear.
Plus, she was not a U.S. citizen.
Okay, now Kamala Harris isn't a U.S. citizen. Where have we heard that before? Where have we heard that before?
So couldn't take over the potential office. Pelosi would step down because of all the corruption she, her husband and son were involved with, including connections to Hunter Biden. Money was moved.
If you think Pelosi, you don't know Nancy Pelosi, okay? For those that are new to the program, I ran for Congress 3 times against Mike Pence in 2006, 2008, and 2010. And I also ran again and won the nomination again in 2016 and was Bernie Sanders delegate to the Philadelphia Convention. If you think Nancy Pelosi is going to step down, well, you might as well start watching these videos nonstop and grab yourself a big old poop sandwich.
The Chinese elders have been paid. On Friday, April the 1st,
China and the Chinese elders have been paid. So China's going to get paid off first before all you. That's probably where the scheme came from as far as taking the money in. The Russians are just like, we want to control them so that we can divide the country. But the Chinese are probably like, well, you know, let's make some money off of this too.
175 countries started using their gold-backed currency. The US dollar was devalued 30%. The US Treasury has taken over the Federal Reserve and IRS and run out of Reno. CMKX and Tier 4B were expected to go on Tuesday, April the 5th.
Okay, that's enough of that one because we've got more.
Are predicting may happen. I don't know if folks have been hearing about, you probably have, these reports coming in from the insiders about the space arcs. GD Code's talked about them. There have been, I think, Kerry Cassidy, I've heard talk about.
Now, this is from the movie 2012. This is just taken from the movie 2012.
There are a number of folks out there who have been discussing the space arcs, and these reports are that they're being.
And remember, all of this is based on being a patriot and being a Christian. Okay.
Activated, and then a lot of what we're seeing happen geopolitically beneath the surface has a lot more to do with locating these space arcs. And the reason that I am thinking about this in connection with Justin White is, if you remember if you listen to Justin White, you've watched his videos, you're familiar with his work anyway. But even if you haven't, if you listen to my reports on his work, you'll know the basic theory is that he believes that Tesla's technology, the 369, ultimately is very complex. I did episodes on this to try to break it down and explain it, but the short version, Tesla's secret of the universe, the 369, that technology is going to be used to levitate those at the right frequency and put us onto ascension support vehicles and essentially get us out of Dodge and begin our journey to a new planet. Essentially, what this would be a rapture event. All right. Now, as far as these space arcs are concerned.
Okay. They claim to be non-science. They don't believe in science. You know, vaccines can't work. But they believe in cloning and space arcs. Now, the guy goes on and basically says, you know, there's not much in the Bible that we can believe in. Okay, now he's he's saying this while the group he's affiliated with is promoting Christianity. And just to show you that, here we go. Let me jump back.
I mean, just like the saying goes, from the Bible itself. That, of course, has a lot of things that we could criticize, but there's a lot of truth in it too.
Okay, so a lot of things we could criticize, meaning that things that we don't believe in, like a rich man has as much chance getting into heaven as a camel does passing through the eye of a needle. You don't hear Republicans or Christians or mega pastors with $10 million homes talk about that one. That's one of those inconvenient ones. That's, you know, there's a lot of truth in it too. Sadly, almost none of them have even read what's in it. So we've had a little bit of break. Let's get back to what's going on in Ukraine. This is the top picture, is a picture of Jewish residents of Romania murdered by the Nazi allies in 1941. The bottom is residents of Busha, murdered by Russian soldiers in March of 22, killed because they were Ukrainian. These people were just shot and left on the street simply because they're Russian or because they're Jewish. These people are tied and shot and left on the street simply because they're Ukrainian. I don't know. Maybe you can't connect the dots, but I don't believe that for a second, because if you watch this show, you have a modicum of intelligence, more than your average person, because the average person doesn't have an attention span long enough to watch. And that's not insulting. That's just true. So I greatly appreciate those of you that watch, especially those that watch all the way to the end. Moldova has denied Ukraine's warnings that Russian troops are massing on their border. After Kyiv says Kremlin forces and separatists held Transnistria, which we talked about 3 weeks ago. Let's jump back over the map and just show some of these places here in Ukraine. The Testorino region is right through here. Okay, they're wanting to break away from Ukraine and Moldova both and become a Russian country. Neither Moldova or Ukraine supports that idea, but Moldova's been warned that Russia's going to mass troops here and eventually move them into Odessa. Odessa's been having some incredibly heavy shelling. And let's just look at Busha, so you can see where it's at. Just this little city, little town, not far from Kyiv. As you can see as we zoom out, here's Kyiv. Here's Ypres. Here's Hostomel. And here's Busha right between them. And in all of these, I've got a picture already in from over here at Moshun. All of these areas that were occupied, even temporarily, by Russians, we're going to see some of the same things that we have seen and that we will continue to see. The former prosecutor of the International Criminal Court says an arrest warrant should be issued for Putin. This takes us back to Israel and Palestine, just to remind us that that things are tense, as they always are there. The holy month Ramadan, beginning for the Muslim people in the area, and always on edge. Being a person of the Christian faith, it's always a concern what's going on in Israel, and they're on high alert. They're on a terror alert, and there have been 10 civilians shot over the past week, and so the Palestinians, while they still will throw rocks, if that's all they've got, they're starting to get some guns. This is a video. These were the first people to get into Busha, and these aren't barricades laying in the streets. Okay, these are dead bodies. These are just citizens. We shouldn't be shocked at it, because I played for us an intercepted transmission of the order being given to kill everything. You know, I played that order. I don't know if it just kind of blew past people, or, you know, but to actually see what they did. This is going to put pressure on many leaders in the world to do something differently than is being done right now. Tomorrow could be a very interesting day. April 4th, coming up in an hour, Eastern Standard Time, could be a very interesting day. South Korea stated that they had the capability to accurately and swiftly strike any targets in North Korea. So basically what they were saying is, you know, the question was, what concerns should South Korea have over the nuclear ambitions? And they said, basically, in one strike, we can take everything they've got out. You know, they're not a concern. And then North Korea said, you know, they should reconsider their stance and their plans, because South Korea shouldn't talk this way to a nuclear power. Vlad, from a couple of days ago, this is one of those thermobaric weapon systems, and Vlad's friend Fogg captured it. Fogg's a bit of a badass. Fogg's killed 59 Russians himself and destroyed 11 tanks, and captured this thermobaric missile launcher, and then That was on Friday. He captured the missile launcher, and then yesterday, Fogg captured a loader, so that the missile launcher can be reloaded multiple times, and Russia's own thermobaric weapons can rain down on them. So this is why Ukraine is winning the war. Okay, and this is why we need to be doing more, in my opinion. But unfortunately, that decision is not mine. However, we can impact how decisions are made. And the more this particular video that I'm doing right now, the more it gets spread, and the more people see what is actually going on, not just what we're told, not just what the media wants us to not only know, but what they want us to feel and how they want us to act. And we've been duped by it for so long that we can't, things are too tense to not be aware of what's going on. It's just that's just a fact. A little bit of levity before we've got some more horrendous things. Okay. This is our Don't Be a Doofus for this week. We try to have a video of someone doing something, you shouldn't do, something stupid, something worthy of being a true doofus. And this rich young, not sorority, but fraternity member, he's our doofus of the week. Oh! Okay, he does two things here. He breaks his arm on the table, and he fractures his coccyx. That's a medical term for he busted ass. Our doofus of the week. One more time. Wang. Oh, yeah. Oh. This is some more from Bucha. A guy found stuffed down into a manhole, bodies dead and naked, bodies half buried. When you see the mass graves and they talk about the body bags coming out, a lot of, as I said earlier, a lot of the body bags are going to be containing dead Russian soldiers that the army didn't want coming back because they'd have to pay the families. There are dead civilians not in body bags underneath. Okay. The idea being that when the body bags were found, it would be, they would find the body bags. They wouldn't look any deeper. No need to look any deeper. We found the last body bag. Well, a few inches deeper, there were the citizens. And just in case you didn't get a good enough view, or just in case you think this is somehow staged, get off my channel. Again, hands tied behind their backs. We saw them down in that basement. Russian forces killed all males aged 18 to 60 in the city of Bucha. about 50,000 in that city, and all men who were young and healthy were shot. Another little bit of levity. This is from Heidi Cruz. Ted's wife, according to Fox News, Heidi says Ted, quote, doesn't do drugs or orgies. You know, I don't know about the orgies part, but I do know that there was a hack of the Ashley Madison account, which is a high-end call girl service in Washington, D.C. And Ted Cruz's personal number was found in that. So maybe he doesn't do orgies. He just does, you know, one at a time on the side. As far as the drugs, I don't know. So, you know, somebody ought to give him something to make him be a better person, if there is such a thing, because nobody likes him. You know, I mean, his staff rarely stay for any length of time. You don't hear about that in the mainstream media, but when you've got people that work, and that's where the information always comes from. Okay. The truth always comes from the staffs. So that's where a lot of my sources are. The occupiers fled in fear, leaving behind looted valuables and alcohol. You can see some of the stuff they were trying to steal after looting, and it seems such a petty thing, showing the looting, and it's far down because all the truth didn't start coming out until yesterday, and it's going to continue to come out as these liberated areas are being documented by journalists and reporters and NGOs and government office officials. This is one of those things that could have been really, really bad. China decided to test a missile without telling anybody, and the second stage of it went over India and was mistaken for a cruise missile. It could have ended very, very bad. My husband's friend, a doctor from Zaporizhzhia, says a group of girls from Mariupol was admitted to their hospital. The oldest one is 10, and all of them have rectovaginal tears. They're raping 10-year-olds. I'm not even going to do this joke. I'll leave it there so you can read it. But again, Pakistani's prime minister was saying that the United States is to blame for this, and one of the people that saw this said, yeah, you know, he had a flat tire on his way to work, and I'm sure the United States was somehow responsible for that. We do get blamed for a lot of things, and we are guilty of a lot of things, but we're not to blame for everything wrong in the world. You know, we've got our share. I talked about this My Pillow guy earlier. Mike Lindell is not happy. Okay, he's not happy. He informed the announcers and everybody that TV affiliates around the country will no longer air his commercials if he is in them, and he isn't happy. I don't know. I don't watch networks a lot, and I don't watch it. You know, I certainly wouldn't be watching a My Pillow guy commercial. This is something for everybody to think about, no matter where you're at in your life. My boss arrived at work in a brand new Lamborghini. I said, wow, that's an amazing car. And he replied, if you work hard put all your hours in and strive for excellence, I'll get another one next year. That's how the con works. Conservative. Con, serving. Got to have somebody serving that con. Or you're being conned and you're serving them. All right? Okay, this is Anna. Anna is the first LGBT volunteer, far from the last. So those that were questioning the treatment of the LGBTQ community in Ukraine, Zelensky basically said, he said, he, she, they, them, if they can fight, they can shoot, we welcome them. So I know that wasn't politically correct, but that's what he was saying. This was rather rare. Happened late yesterday. A Russian Kilo class submarine was spotted on the surface in the Mediterranean, and alongside a missile carrier and a repair ship. So the assumption is something had gone wrong, and all three of the ships are currently out, as it says right there, outer defense for the Russian invasion, second invasion of Ukraine. And I got to show you this just because, you know, the idea
every day
is you're being conned, or you're serving somebody that's conning you.
EMF radiation, that stands for electromagnetic field radiation. We're all in danger of it every day from our cell phones, Wi-Fi, and so much more. What can we do to protect ourselves? I didn't think there was anything until I learned of the defense pendant. This one little necklace here will help protect you from everyday EMF radiation. It also increases your focus. It helps all of your endocrine systems. It just does so many things you would not believe it. You must check this out and read all the benefits. I mean, I don't even have time to tell you them all. It is such a great thing. It comes with a cool authenticity card, a great little box. On the inside of the box, that's where it tells you all the benefits of it, and you will be so amazed. It cleans easily, and you're just going to need one of these. Everybody needs to be protected. EMF.
There you go. Endorsed by Ivanka Trump. Ivanka Trump's secret to protecting herself. So there you go. Just something to think about. In contrast, these are Ukrainian women soldiers who have been exchanged in a prisoner exchange. And as you can tell, the first thing the Russians did was shave all of their heads. I don't know if you paid any attention in history classes, or you've ever seen what the Jewish population looked like once they were in the hands of the Nazis, but that's the first thing that came to my mind when I saw this picture. China staged a huge cyber attack on Ukraine's military and nuclear facilities in the buildup to the Russian invasion. It's according to military intelligence from the London Times. I thought I was showing this the other night, and I don't know if I showed it or not. I think it was one of the videos that I missed showing, so I want to show it now. The other night, 2-3 nights ago, I showed a video of, in order to get across the border and into safety, the people had to literally drive through a minefield on the highway. And I thought that was just absolutely insane that you would have to travel like that, until I saw this. Balls of steel is what today's episode. Amazing. And I'm not sure if this one showed the other night or not. But again, as soon, they steal the phones from the people they're killing and use the phones because none of their communications are working. And as soon as that phone is activated, in many situations, it's tapped, and geolocation begins through triangulation of cell towers as well as satellite. And if a location is found, especially if the phone is active and if it's making a call to Russia, a strike ensues. So I wanted to share that. Again, Russia controlled the Chernobyl, the site of the Chernobyl disaster that in 1986 was the worst nuclear disaster in the world. And they had their soldiers out there for 40 days. They were in the Red Forest, and this is photographed from inside a containment vehicle, a vehicle that's protected from radiation, and a Geiger counter, and going through the area at a rapid speed.
Це ми так швидко їдемо, пам'ятаєте, в нього затримка 10 секунд. Він показує, що бачить 10 секунд. Так, ти щось, я не зрозумів. Це такої кого.
And you can tell how quickly they wanted to get in and out of that area. The Russians have been in there driving tanks around, throwing up radioactive dust. There's some intelligence that they possibly tried to mine radioactive material for dirty bombs, low-grade radiation bombs. And again, the QAnon stuff, to kind of wrap all of that up, it was experimental emotional cognition, trying to control the mind. 2 degrees of separation between Peter Thiel and Jeffrey Epstein. Just in case you wonder who Peter Thiel is, German-American billionaire entrepreneur who, German-American billionaire entrepreneur, venture capitalist, and political activist, co-founder of PayPal. For those that are wondering, if you like to support the show, you can donate through Cashapp, $American Doofus, all one word. I don't harp on that, but I do need support. And I don't use PayPal. And that's why. I will use PayPal because I have to pay my rent that way. But I don't promote it, and I don't want the charges involved in accepting money through there. And I just don't like this guy. And he's a close advisor of, I'm sure we're shocked, Donald Trump. So we're there. The end of the line for tonight. Busha. Don't forget the name. It's going to go down in history. Because one of two things is going to happen. These, even though they're not out there yet, the things they're being talked about, the things I've been shown, you're probably not going to see them on mainstream media because they will just make everybody want to destroy Russia like that, or should. It won't make everybody that way. It'll make a majority of people that way. I sure hope that there is a reckoning for Tucker Carlson, for Trump, for anybody that supports Russia after this stuff gets out. But one of two things is going to happen. Either, and I don't see how some country doesn't say, we're not, this should have never happened, and we're damn sure not going to let it happen to us. Probably Poland, maybe Poland, Lithuania, Estonia, and Latvia. The four of them get together and say, we're doing this whether NATO wants us to or not, whether the European Union wants us to or not, because this has got to stop. That will happen, or we will find out that the majority of the world is not about humanity, but about money. And there'll be sanctions, and there'll be things that won't stop someone that only respects power. And I think that's probably what will happen. But if the other thing happens, if action is taken by a NATO country, then tomorrow could be a very interesting day. A lot of potential dominoes to fall. Currently, almost all the eyes of the world are on Ukraine. And that's why we see things happening in other areas, because the focus isn't so intense on everything. It's focused on the one thing that could potentially trigger nuclear war. And a lot of things could happen tomorrow. Again, Germany's going to find out that prices have gone up 20 to 50%, according to the German Retail Association. And they're not going to be happy about that. A lot of Germans are going to find out that there were 5,000 Russian supporters in Berlin. And they're not going to be happy about that. And things can just kick off in a lot of ways. Hungary, right in the middle of everything. Hungary kept their autocratic, that means their leader that is friendly to Russia, is the best way to put it. Hungary, according to him, he claimed victory earlier this afternoon. Victor, I don't remember what his last name is, but as soon as he claimed victory, he said, Ukraine is our opponent. So it's going to be interesting to see what happens there. Hungary shares a tiny portion of the border with Ukraine and has Romania and Poland, Czechia, Austria, Slovenia, Croatia, all surrounding it. So I've always questioned what Germany will do. And if war breaks out, if Germany and Hungary come in on the side of Russia, you've got a whole middle section of the former Soviet Union just ripe for the picking. And then it becomes, is the United States going to do anything about it? So it is a time of heightened awareness, or it should be for all of us. And throughout the program, I've been mentioning that there needs to be something for those of us that truly that value knowledge, that value intelligence, that value the arts, and that aren't going to just want to roll over for a fascist regime, whether it be foreign or domestic. And I don't know if there is such a thing, but I have an idea. And look for American Doofus show, a special edition here in the next 24 hours. As for News Done Differently, I thank you for watching tonight. Please do consider sharing this. Not to grow to the program, not so I can make a whole bunch of money. Consider sharing it because people need to know the information and they may not get it anywhere else. Okay. Thanks for watching. This is News Done Differently. I truly love you all, and I hope that tomorrow is not the day that everything begins to actually totally crumble. If it is, I'll be on most of the day. And if not, I'll be on tomorrow night at 10 with News Done Differently. Again,